embassy staff members, and the growing anti-Semitism locally and around the country is raising concerns. 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky and 26-year-old Sarah Milgram gunned down Wednesday night after they left the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. The suspect, Elias Rodriguez, is charged with federal and local murder offenses. He could face the death penalty. According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents nationally are up nearly 893% over the last decade. In the DMV region, the incidents have more than tripled over the last 3 years, with Maryland seeing the highest number of incidents. Meredith Weisel is the Vice President of Advocacy and National Affairs for the Anti-Defamation League. She joins us live this morning to discuss this. Meredith, it's good to see you. I'm sorry we have to talk again about an incident like this, but this has shaken not only the diplomatic community here in Washington, D.C., but people around the country. You have warned, and your organization has warned for a long time, about how anti-Semitic speech manifests itself into violence. And what has happened here in the nation's capital manifested what you've been warning about for quite a while now?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I feel like we've been having this conversation for several years, and I just want to sort of say at the start that our hearts are really broken this week for the heinous attack that happened, that many of my colleagues and friends who work for American Jewish Committee. And to your point, let me be really clear. Words have consequences. We have been saying this, that when anti-Semitic rhetoric is normalized, it's tolerated, it's amplified in our public discourse, it creates this environment where violence is possible. And unfortunately, this incident was inevitable. It was just a matter of where it came home here to our nation's capital. And
it's important to point out, this is not to say people don't have free speech. You can criticize Israel. However, there is a line where a person crosses over, where free speech turns into something like what we saw on Wednesday night, which is horrific and deadly. How do you draw people back from crossing that line, Meredith?
Look, I mean, this is just the latest example of anti-Semitic hate. It's been fueled by extreme anti-Israel rhetoric and movements. It's escalating into real-world situations. And if we do not sit down and start talking about this, and we just can't ignore the fact that the threat landscape has changed. Lone actors are radicalized online. And as you said, this is beyond free speech. Free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. But when we are amplifying this and people are acting out, they're carrying out attacks against Jewish people, we have got to confront this head on. We need education, we need advocacy, we need law enforcement partnerships, we need our elected officials to start doing something about this.
Okay, so there's two parts right now people are talking about with this, Meredith. What do we do right now, and what do we do long term? So let's start with the right now. D.C. Police, Montgomery County Police, Prince George's County Police, they all announced in the aftermath after these murders that they were increasing police presence at houses of worship. We saw it ourselves here in D.C. How much does that have to remain in place, and what do you want to see done?
Look, I think that right now, Jewish institutions and honestly, other faith-based institutions need to be listening to law enforcement. I think security presence is extremely important, but I would also urge our lawmakers to be thinking about the nonprofit security grant at the federal level. There are various state-level programs, and we need to put some of those measures in place. So that is sort of in the immediate. That is something that can be done right now to help secure our facilities. And then long term, we need our policymakers, we need tech platforms, we need civic leaders to recognize and confront this, and it's a growing domestic terror threat that is targeting Jewish communities. And there are policy solutions we can work on with them, and we would urge them to sit down and meet with our regional offices across the country.
Is there a role for other institutions on, say, the folks that talk about Palestinian issues to get involved with this as well? Is there a way both sides could come together to maybe start this dialogue?
Yeah, I think everybody needs to condemn the mainstreaming of political violence, that it is not legitimate or a heroic response to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The event that night was about humanitarian aid to various places, including Gaza. It was about bringing peace. That's what needs to happen, not praising this attack, which unfortunately we have seen explicit endorsements from some of those radical groups. That needs to be condemned, and people who really care about peace need to come together.
All right, Meredith Weisel joining us this morning from the Anti-Defamation League.
You.
Meredith, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.